Okay, record. Okay, so now I'm going to share the screen again. Share screen, 1 sec. Share screen, and here it is. Okay, all right, okay, so we'll start. So this is the Maamer of the Alter Rebbe, the voice of the bride, Kallah. So this is written by Sari Yehuda Schneider, and then we're going to get, she gives a synopsis, and then we get into the actual text of the Alter Rebbe, and I'm going to read it only in English, but the Hebrew is right there, and you could check it up in Hebrew, but just to, you know, we like to accomplish, so we're just going to do it with the English. So when a Jewish man and women wed, 7 marriage blessings are recited for them beneath the bridal canopy. Rabbi Schneider Zalman comments on the last of these special prayers, which heralds an idyllic time, I'm not very good at my grammar, when the jubilant voices of both groom and bride will be heard on the streets of Jerusalem, and the groom will rejoice with his bride. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe is going to be very, specific over here, that there's something very significant with the fact that only like when we get into Geula, will there be like sort of an equality between the masculine and feminine, and then the Alter Rebbe gets, it's not just equality, it's that the feminine is transcending the masculine and is the one that has the lights for the masculine, which we already learned in the Chaf B'Shvat Sicha. But the Alter Rebbe is predicting this time when there's going to be the rise of the feminine, which is ushering in the Geula. Reb Schneider Zalman reads these lines in the context of his encyclopedic knowledge of Jewish teachings, where even the most subtle hint reverberates in ever-widening circles of association. Every dot is very important. He interprets this prayer as depicting a profound transformation of gender relations that will culminate in Messianic times. Rabbi Schneider Zalman identifies 2 shifts in status quo anticipated by the prayer's carefully selected words. First is the emergence of woman's voice from passive silence to full expression. Okay, so it begins, and remember that the Rebbe said that, I think it was Pashas B'Shalach, that why will the women be credited with Geula? Because the revelation of Malchus, the truth about Malchus and her lights, is the Geula process. So this is her voice, and it's the feminine voice. It's everything that's feminine. It's the body, it's the heart, it's the physicality, it's the holiness of that, the Toihu light. All that stuff is going to be emerging from passive silence to full expression. We're going to be in every single part of ourselves. We're going to connect to all our true lights that we were deprived of, which didn't allow us to show up in full embodiment of our feminine selves. So first is the emergence of woman's voice from passive silence to full expression, as indicated by the blessing's unnecessary repetition of the word voice, both in relation to groom and in relation to bride. So it says kol chasan v'kol Kallah. So it's showing that that first it starts with, it could have just said kol chasan v'Kallah, right? Why does it have to say kol chasan v'kol Kallah, the voice of the groom and the voice of the bride, to show that somebody's voice that was passive before is starting to be heard. Second is a reversal of polarities between man and woman. Now, when consciousness and its associated joys descends from above to below, it passes first to man and from him to woman. Okay, right? In the order of descent, you have the emotional spheres is the masculine, and then Malchus is on the bottom. And what does that mean for us? That means that the masculine understanding of the Torah, which is very linear and very hierarchy and it's more chetzainis, and the Alter Rebbe says it very straight out, is the light of Hashem that's being passed down to us. But that's not necessarily the Pnimius HaTorah, and that's not the Eitz HaChaim. So, so that's what we have. Till we start coming into our voice, the Torah that we, the way we express it is limited to the masculine understanding from what they're getting, because they have a lower light, and that's the way halacha is decided. Okay, so then now when consciousness descends from above to below, passes first to man and from him to woman. In this sequence, he gives and she receives. In Messianic times, the polarity will invert and consciousness will move in the opposite direction. It will pass first to woman and from her to man, as derived by comparing the prayer's closing words to a nearly identical line in the sixth blessing that precedes it. Okay, we're going to get into it. This is just a synopsis. We're going to get into the actual words. But okay, so here I want to just make some kind of statement over here. So it says in this sequence, in the second sequence, she gives and he receives. But from what I understand from, this is Sarah's synopsis. What I understand from Hasidus is that it's a circle. She's a receiver and she's a giver, but she's not a giver in the masculine sense. She's a giver because she connects to her 11 light and she inspires the masculine to be true to themselves and to really come out and be their greatest selves by her being in her light. So in that way, she's the giver, but she's not the giver in the way that the masculine is the giver. When she's in a marriage with the masculine, she's still the makabel. Just like Klal Yisrael, and Kutcher Brichu, when we're going to be unified, Kutcher Brichu is going to give us everything we need. We're still going to be the makabel. But when we connect to this higher light, we influence Kutcher Brichu to give us everything easily. It's a circle, but we're still receivers. And that's where people get confused, because they think, okay, so now we're going to be the givers and they're going to be, no. And I've heard this from other people who understand Hasidus, that this is, we have to have clarity on this because people get confused. They think that, okay, now we're the men and they're the women. No, it's not that at all. And it's not going to be. He compares this messianic progression to Judaism's two-stage process of marital relationship, which defines a stepwise sequence of deepening intimacy called betrothal and marriage. These are precisely defined terms in Jewish law. Betrothal is a legally binding commitment to marry. Though the couple is not permitted to relate sexually, in most respects, they are as if legally married, and the dissolution of their engagement requires a divorce. So today we don't do that anymore, but in those days it was a legally binding engagement. I guess they needed more time to prepare for the wedding, but it was like you were almost married, but you didn't have you couldn't be intimate, but you still needed a divorce to separate. That's how serious it was. And what she's gonna say now is, and that's the same relationship we have with Hashem, where it was legally binding, the commitment that we had to Hashem, but we weren't intimate, right? Very interesting. We didn't have intimacy. And how do you have intimacy with Hashem? Getting into your pneumius, right? And connecting to your desire and pleasure, right? The higher 11. And in the Chaf Beis Ratzicha, the Rebbe says that's how we become intimate with Hashem. So this is like getting into that relationship is only when we connect to the higher 11 light, which we discuss, which is the feminine light, and using everything and seeing that everything's Hashem and tuning into what needs to be expressed and how we're supposed to be living at every moment to have that relationship of pleasure. Okay. The marriage, so the second level of matrimonial commitment occurs when the bride formally enters her husband's home. The wedding canopy symbolizes their coming together under one roof and so affects this change of status. The marriage is finalized by its physical consummation. These legal categories have metaphysical correlations as well. In betrothal, the couple's outer layers of soul engage. In marriage, their core selves touch and bond. You see how deep this is to really understand? That now we're able to connect to the pneumius of Hashem by connecting to the feminine lights, which were silent before and which we were not able to use. Now, I just want to comment, I didn't get to read all the things that were on the Malchus chat today, but I saw that there was some kind of, question about the pleasure and everything. So I was some thought came to me yesterday, just very amazing, just a food for thought about this pleasure relationship with Hashem. So if we want to think about it, okay, let's say we lived 24/7 in a way which we were totally connected to our inner selves, and we were tuned in. Okay, what do I need now to feel good, to feel, and we knew how to, we know how to use it, right? We don't abuse it. And how do I need to express myself now? And what do I, and totally tuned in 24/7 so that we feel amazing all the time. Okay, we're still learning, so we're not perfect. Okay, but imagine if we were able to do this all the time, and we always got like exactly what we need, exactly what we have to say, so that everything's calm, and just feeling amazing all the time. What would our relationship with Hashem be like? How would we feel about Hashem? Anyone want to share with me?
Yeah, also amazing.
That's it, right? Would we be in
That's
love
total
with
bliss.
Hashem if we feel amazing all the time, and like, oh my God, I'm on a high. Oh, I feel so good. Like, oh, this was so good, and this, oh, the kids were so, everything is so good, right? How do we feel about Hashem? We're in love. Hashem's amazing. I'm so happy to be alive. Right? When the times that we are in that light, we are so in love with Hashem. Like, oh, I could just do this forever. This is so good. Right? Now, imagine the other way, the old way, where everything was about what everyone thinks we should be doing, and we think we should be doing is very chitzonius. And we can't relax because we have to have a to-do list. And if we don't have a big enough to-do list, we have to do more. And then we're stressed out, and then we're trying to control and okay? And then things don't work. And how do we feel about Hashem? What's our relationship? No good. We're angry, and how could he do this? And I'm so stressed out. Why does he demand this from me? And blah, 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 right? So it's quite obvious. You don't have to do the math of what the truth of how do you have a Panini's relationship with Hashem is. You don't have to do the math. Just think. What makes you in love with Hashem? Tuning into that, or tuning to the externals and whatever he thinks you should be doing, or you have to make an impression on people, and what are they going to think? That is, then you feel like a martyr and a victim. That's not making you a good relationship with Hashem. So now this is something that's really coming out strong. I shared like last week and this week all the videos of different, like Shay's Tab and different people who are really bringing this out to the world, that we have to have a relationship. Zekeli van Vehu. Like this is God. I love him. This I could have all day. I could live like this all day. So this is what the feminine light brings into us, and this is, so we're the ones that like are the drivers of the ship, but we have to, learn the language, and sometimes we mess up, and, and sometimes we have to heal something and the triggers and everything. And but we're going to get there because we know what it's like when a lot of us, even though we're not perfect, at least we're not like deliberately inviting chaos. We're not on that boat anymore. We're not on, so at least we know we have already a taste of Gula because we're not creating chaos. Chaos that Hashem creates, we can't help, but we're definitely not creating our own chaos. If we could help it, we're not creating it anymore. So this is what it's all about. This is what the Gula is about. Okay. Okay, now page 5. Betrothal requires one of several specific deeds to activate the obligations associated with that commitment. The Mishnah states, a woman is betrothed in 3 ways: when she receives a sum of money or a gift, and nowadays this is fulfilled by exchange of a ring, a gold band that encircles her finger. This model, so remember the word circle, okay. This model also applies to the relationship between Hashem and Kallah Yisrael, where he is the groom and they are the bride. Their commitment evolves through a similar progression of intimacy. Okay, she says, Reb Shneir Zalman say the Alter Rebbe proves that the Torah's revelation affected Hashem's betrothal to Kallah Yisrael, which is the first stage of intimacy, where externalities engage. Okay, so they didn't have real intimacy. So the relationship we had with Hashem until Tafshim and Ches, it was a very external relationship, and there's no intimacy over here. The relationship will consummate in Messianic times, but now we're Baruch Hashem getting this taste of the intimacy with Hashem because we're finally allowed to tune into the Paninius, which is within us. It's in our heart, it's in our bodies, And it's the stuff we're doing now. And this is allowing for us to have this relationship. Yeah.
So I think what you can say is like when a couple is engaged, then they meet not the whole time, but so that's what are our possibilities now. We are not able to have this fantastic feeling the whole time, but we have it.
Yeah, we're getting closer, and we're learning the language, and we're going to be able to have it a full time because we're going to be totally trained into the language. It's like a computer language. We're going to know when you feel like this is what it means, and when you feel like that, this is what it means. It's trial and error, but we're definitely on the we definitely have tastes of it. Just as a man affects betrothal with a ring, so did Hashem. For the ring's circular form parallels the metaphysical concept of surrounding lights. In Kabbalah, lights can be grasped and integrated. Lights that can be grasped and integrated are called inner and internalized or pnimi lights that are present but too high or deep or vast to be contained within their vessel of consciousness, and are described as surrounding or hovering. Both types descended at Har Sinai. Okay, so 1 second. So there are lights that could be grasped and integrated. So that's like the Chitzonius understanding of the Torah, which we had since the beginning of receiving the Torah. And then there's the aspects of Hashem that can't be grasped, which is the Pnimius HaTorah, which is the feminine light. That's the light, let's say the light of pleasure, right? The Rebbe explained in the Chafetz Vatzicha. So that you can't grasp, but you could tune into it, and it uplifts the things you are doing. Versus the light that could be contained is like, halacha. This is how you do it, and Hashem wants us to do it, and that's very tangible, right? And you have to light the menorah like this, and you have to do it like that. That's light that could be grasped, and it's something that brings awareness of Hashem in the world. Why are you doing this? Because Hashem said, okay, that's something that's tangible. You can see it. You can see how someone dresses, right? But the one like the besamim that uplifts us, that's the intangible light, and that's the second, the higher light, and that's the feminine light, and that's the light that the feminine connect to now to uplift everything, to get everybody out of their limitations, ourselves out of our limitations, and take the whole world out of constricted mind of chasing and control and all that stuff, and into that trusting surrender mode. So that's the two lights, the two ways, right? So it's the 11 light, the lower 11 and the higher 11. Okay, so the lower 11 is something we could grasp easily because it's halacha and those kind of things. And the higher 11 is something intangible. It's like an energy. That's the woman, right? Einek, pleasure. Like it's like, oh, when you come in, you just feel. I was watching a whole thing, like a show about renovating houses. Like they took junk house and making gorgeous, like wow, breathtaking luxury. It was like a contest, luxury apartments out of like junk, plain junk, whatever. And the judges would come into a room and they would say, this room lacks soul. This is so like hotel style, where's the energy of the person that designed this room? There's no soul over here, where's that? And so it's intangible, but the soul puts in such a flavor, and it just uplifts you in a way that nothing else could. And the Rebbe says this in the Chafetz Vatzicha, right? The Rebbe says the women, they make the decor and the beauty, and they put their essence into the home. And that's what Hashem wants, that every person is different. And when we're true to ourselves, we could put our flavor into everything. We bring our, essence into everything. Okay. According to Jewish tradition, the Torah's revelation was the most profound manifestation of Hashem that ever transpired on the planet. An estimated 4 million people experienced that historic event. A searing revelation of presence engraved the souls of an entire nation with the truth of the universe compressed into a single burst of light. Its impact continues to impel their generations to be seekers and servants of Hashem, and will do so till the end of time. So I guess what she's saying here is like this, there's a piece of us when we at Har Sinai that is like needs to express Torah and mitzvahs. That's why a Jew, he feels like he's missing something if he's not expressing Torah mitzvahs, versus a non-Jew doesn't really need it. This is what I think that she's trying to say, that that it's sort of, it's like something's missing if we're not expressing, you know, the Torah mitzvahs, versus a non-Jew doesn't have that like sense of loss. Yeah, he has a connection to Hashem as well because he's the light of Taihu, but it's not that he has to do it through Torah mitzvahs. We have that special connection, but that's why we have the power to make everything holy when we find those same truths in the Torah. Okay, now we're up to, okay. Sinai is different from all other prophetic encounters, not only in its amount of light, but also in its quality. Other biblical prophecies only access the aura of divinity, the glow that surrounds the blessed luminary. At Sinai, the infinite light itself, the actual source of illumination, was manifestly present. That was like Anochi Hashem, the Atzmus of Hashem was present. And yet the people could not contain that intensity of revelation. Its bolt of insight impacted their souls, but only a fraction integrated as conscious awareness. The rest overflowed into a ring of surrounding light that holds all the possibilities of future consciousness within its glow. And that's the feminine Torah Chadasha, which is the Pnimius, and that's the higher truth of Hashem. With each and that's the, what's the high truth? That means it connects us in an intimate way. It's not a superficial relationship. It's a way that is, you know, one with Hashem, and it's a pleasure relationship. A relationship, a true marriage, eventually the goal is it's totally pleasure. When everybody shows up the way they're meant to show up and does, you know, comes forward the way they're meant to, it's a pleasure relationship because there's trust and it's support, and it's just, it's beautiful. And it allows each person to be true to themselves, and you don't demand from the other to be like you. You bring this to the table and I bring that to the table, and you value. I value that you're a woman, you bring that energy. I don't need you to do this or do that, you know. And the man himself, you know, he knows he's not, you know, he doesn't have that, you know, but he respects that you're a woman, you need more pleasure than me. Okay, you know, that's good. Okay. With each passing moment, the vessel of awareness expands and a drop of surrounding radiance slips inside and integrates there. Eventually, okay, we said that already. Okay. The Alter Rebbe defines both integrated and surrounding lights by the relationship to Torah. Integrated lights are truths and teachings that are accessible to us now, at this point in our development. All the accumulated wisdom of the Jewish people, its Torah, commentaries, legal rulings, moral lessons, and mysticism are all integrated lights to the extent that they are known and incorporated into life. Okay, so that's the accessible light. Whoops. Conversely, the inner dimensions of Torah, the repository of secrets hidden within the text, elucidating the deeper reasons behind its laws, stories, and textual structure, this came down at Sinai, but was not actually revealed at that time. Embedded within each letter, word, and story are all the unrealized possibilities of interpretation daily elucidated. Okay, that's why the story of, one of the classes I want to do is the story of Eitz Hadas. It's fascinating how in the same words, there's a whole nother storyline going on, and I have the matching Sikha to back it up. I have different parts that show that this is exactly what the Rebbe understood as well. So we'll do that one day. So in the same words, which make it look like they did a sin and they failed and they let everyone down and they destroyed everything, you could see that this is what Hashem wanted, and he was very excited. And Adam was so happy that he blessed her, and he said, "You're Chava. You gave us the ability to experience Hashem, you know, in a real experiential way." It's like, it wasn't a, you know, but it's fascinating. That's one of the classes I want to do. Okay. Okay, so I'm just trying to see if these ungraspable lights, along with the higher states of consciousness that accompany them, form a shimmering halo around the integrated lights of the revealed Torah, enclosing them as if in, let me see, okay, a sphere of radiant consciousness. With this encircling band, as his engagement offering, Hashem betrothed the Jewish people at Sinai and secured their commitment to marry at the end of days. So like the circle is the Pnimius HaTorah, the ring. He says, here's a ring. You don't have access to the information in this ring. This is the feminine light, the Pnimius, which is going to allow us to live forever and have a life of pleasure, right? But hold on to it. One day you're going to be able to access it. Throughout their engagement period, Israel's relationship to Hashem daily ripens. It is not a time of passive waiting. Only active preparation will do. Our task is to labor in Torah, to release its hidden teachings and allow ourselves to be transformed by its truths. Each day, Klal Yisrael exposes another layer of concealed lights, and soon there will be no secrets left. The Torah's soul-satisfying wisdoms will illuminate every question, resolve every doubt, and explain every suffering. The fullness of divine light will shine through the Torah and fill Klal Yisrael's collective heart, bones, cells, and spaces with holy presence. There will be no place inside them that is not permeated with Hashem, and nothing of Hashem that does not fit inside them. A perfect marriage, a consummate union of glory and awe. This transition from betrothal to marriage happens through the gradual integration of surrounding lights, right? And remember, we have to have Kalim for it, and slowly but surely. The transfer of consciousness.
You explain that?
What?
About that light. What does it
gradual do? Integration, right? And remember I said, like, the more Kalim we have to contain the light, then we understand more deeper Pnimius. And then, as we get closer, we understand even deeper, like, oh, I just understood this even more. And it's fascinating because, like, the Malchus curriculum I wrote in 2016, nothing changed. You were still doing the same thing, but we understand it more and more. And I get all excited. I'll tell somebody, oh, now I really, and I'll say, I know I just said this yesterday, but now I really understand it. And then the day later, oh, but now I really, really understand it. And it just, nothing changed, but we're understanding, we're connecting on so much deeper levels every day as we internalize it and see, use it in our lives. And that's exactly what it's saying.
Do we need to learn Hasidus for that, or just be there?
Well, I think we have to inspire ourselves, we are doing it. I don't know exactly if it's required, but it's a 24/7 job. And if we don't keep on inspiring ourselves and understanding it even deeper, then I don't know, could somebody just know what to do and do it right? Maybe, I don't know. But I think that we're getting better at it. And we're, the more we're understanding it, we knew the rules, but we didn't really understand what we were doing way back when. And the more we see it in the Torah and to connect to it, like the Chaf B'Shvat Sicha, when I first saw the Sicha, first of all, I understood all this Malchus stuff before I even knew the Sicha existed. So I don't even remember how I knew exactly how it's supposed to be, but I don't know. I connected a whole bunch of different things. I have no idea how. Okay. But the Sicha itself, I was all excited because it says, oh, Ishanar, Diranar, all that. I didn't even realize that it has a timeline. When I read it the first time, there was no timeline, even the words were there. Then I was like, oh my God, there's a timeline. And that Rebbe actually says when it starts. That was the first revelation. Then I saw the 11, different levels of 11. I didn't even know that. That's what I'm saying. So we'll get deeper understanding. But now that we know what that light is, it's not just some theory. Oh, when you take care of yourself, you could show it better. Now we know what that light is, and we know how to use it because we know what it is. It's much different, and we know how to apply it. And when we see it in different places, we could connect it. Like now, we really understand what this is saying. We can understand the Alter Rebbe's Maamer much better because we know what we're talking about with these lights. So I don't know if you have to, you don't have to. And the letter that I shared today on the WhatsApp with the Rebbe saying that we have to keep on going higher and higher in this Avodah until we're one with, until we could say Zeh Keli Vanveyu. Oh my God, I love Hashem all day long, right? So yeah, we have to keep on being inspired. If you could do it without it, it's Kallah kavod. But I think we have to, yeah. Okay. The transfer of consciousness from above to below, from its infinite source on high to its final expressions as expanded awareness in the minds of mankind, follows one path of descent now in the engagement period, and will follow an alternative route in Messianic times, right? So in the engagement period, we're only receiving it from the masculine, right? And now it's the Messianic times where the Frierdiker Rebbe says the women should learn Hasidus. And it's only recently that the women are really understanding about the self-care and the pleasure, just the last couple of years. So now is really when we're connected, we're starting to get our light from the higher 11. Before we only had, the light, whatever we got from the masculine. Now we're being able to understand straight from Hashem, communicating through us when we're connecting to this light, because that light is connected to Atzimus. It's like more, it's closer to source. So information, if you're flowing, that information is coming through to you. So so that's, now we're able to connect to that. We didn't have that before. Now the stepwise relay of consciousness begins with mother, who passes it on to man. He internalizes what he can, and the rest spills over as surrounding light. Man then separates out a portion of this newly integrated light and passes them on to women, right? So the men, they learn halacha and gemara and this and that, and then they some of it they share with the women, right? And that's the superficial sort of like the lower lights of Hashem. But now with the women learning the Pnimis HaTorah, which is their light, they go straight to above and they could get everything, and they know how to combine the two. And now it's a whole different experience of Yiddishkeit. The rule is stated thus: the higher the parts of, which is, I think, the form, I don't know what, okay. The greater, I think she has explanations above. I forgot what it means, parts of, but anyway, the greater its capacity to hold light. What she's saying is, like, let's say the feminine has a greater capacity to hold more light because she's sourced in a higher light, but I may be wrong, okay? Consequently, at each transfer, only some illumination actually fits into the vessel below. Parts of is probably a container that could contain the light. The rest gets displaced into a ring of transcendent awareness that holds all the possibilities of future apprehension, and that encircles the head of the lower parts of. In this way, each upper level becomes a crown to the level below. Okay, so there's things that we know, like, that we can't understand, right? Let's say you learn, you know that Kabbalah exists, but it's just not something you could grasp. So, but it's there, right? So like, you don't have the you don't have the vessels to contain it. You can't grasp it. It's like out of reach for you, but it's there. So you know of its existence. So it's like a crown that is there, but you don't really get it. Which might be that the masculine might not always understand why do you need pleasure? Okay, whatever. Like, it's out of their realm. It doesn't talk to them. They like to do. They get a high from doing, okay? Doesn't talk to them. But when there's a face-to-face unity, they respect. I don't get it, but I respect that you must know what you're talking about. If you have to have pleasure, it makes you, I see how it affects you. I trust you, right? And the same thing, if let's say there's someone that knows Kabbalah really well, and it's not for, we don't get it, but we don't put them down. We're like, all right, I get that you know it and I don't. So it's like a crown, it's like transcendent. I don't really get it, but I respect that you do. Okay. So that's what she's saying over here. So this is the order of descent in I think we're almost finished, Messianic times, while the moon is diminished and woman's stature is less than man's. In this configuration, woman cannot access her own transcendent lights, for she cannot reach them on her own. She needs man to draw them from mother and pass them to her. Okay, so basically the understanding of the Torah is not really totally her truth. She's not able to connect to what makes her fully feminine and empowers her to, elevate the world in the way she's meant to elevate the world. So that was how it was, right? Because the masculine, of course, is gonna, they have the things, but let's say even like a man gives a share and he talks about the feminine lights, he may not really be able to give it over because it's sort of elusive to him, you know. And but a woman who really is rooted in that light, she gets it. She knows what she's like when she's connected to her light. So she connects to it on a whole different level. So we're going to leave off over here because we want to keep it to 1 hour. Does anybody want to say anything, share anything, questions?
Yeah, hi Bracha. This is Simcha Chaya.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for this class, for continuing. And I just wanted to say that for the longest time, like from when I could remember, like the youngest age, I always like literally felt so much pain and suffering for the diminishment of the feminine. And it's not like, you know, it's not that I'm not saying that I saw like, you know, abuse or things like that, but I just saw that the women were not in their fullest light. And I felt it in myself and I felt it in others and with women around. And it just seemed so unfair. Like it felt like something is off, something is wrong. And it was intuitively, and I never, like, I couldn't put it in words. Anyway, so the years went by, decades went by. And then when I started learning the Malchus curriculum and now even more this and Chavis, it's like, wow, like, okay, now I understand. Like, you know, like, you know something intuitively, but you can't put in words. And now it's like, okay, now I understand it logically. Before it was just intuitively. And, you know, the diminishment of the moon and everything. So now you see it in the whole world, like the Goyim also, how women are, you know, everything like that. But I just want to say something very quickly, very interesting, because this Maamer is talking about Kol Chassan and Kol Kal, like both of them, because I heard this from somebody, not Jewish. I was talking to her, and she says, you know, I'm not worried about the women. The women are so empowered. They have so many tools. They're learning, they're growing. The men, it's like, where do they stand in all this women empowerment? So I just thought it was interesting. Like we're so focusing on the feminine, but really like the masculine, what's with them? Like, how are they, you know, how do they feel with that? I mean, I see that the men, like you were saying, like that, it gives them a high, like to see that their women are happy and enjoying, and they're able to give, you know, their wives or women pleasure. But I guess they're also stepping into their role of making women, you know, happy. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that.
And then just like we connect to our lights and we say, oh, now I know what was missing. I was wondering why I was always stressed. I felt there was like something wrong with me, or why I couldn't be like this or couldn't be like that. I wasn't being allowed to be my truth, right? The same thing, the men, because we were men, they weren't allowed to be real men, right? So now it's uncomfortable, but for us, it's also uncomfortable. We're so used to, right? We have to get used to a new way. But what's beautiful about us is that we're doing it really pleasantly, right? We're not controlling, we're not, you know, we have Malchus speech, and we create a good energy, right? So it's not such a painful way if they would appreciate it, right? So it takes adjusting because it's like a new language, right? But then once they step into, we get out of the way and let them totally be men, then they feel good about that they could be fully themselves. So what about the men? Yeah, now they could be real good men. And the Rebbe Rashab, I believe there was Hemshech Samachvav or something, where he says like that's their pleasure. You know what I mean? That's their pleasure, that they could show up and just produce something even more beautiful together with you. You know what I mean? It's like they finally feel like whole, you know, they'll feel good inside once they truly step into it. But first takes us, first of all, why do we have to connect to our 11 light? Number one, because it says the women have to be true to themselves. It starts with the women. It says, I think it gets further into it. I think it's in this one where like the nukva, the feminine draws down from above. So like when we become true to ourselves, we sort of pull everything into alignment. So that's what the feminine has to, it might be even in this Maamer as well. The feminine has to be the ones to start this process. Okay, that's number one. Number two is when we connect to this 11 light, this Tohu light, which has no limitations. It takes everybody out of their constrictions. It makes it easier for them to want to try new things in new ways. Yes. And they're not so stuck. Okay. So again, we're the ones that are helping this out. Okay. And then, but it's like they become like a partnership. Okay. Think of a man and a woman, right? So the man, he contributes his seed, and the woman, she's the one that is the egg, whatever, in the womb, and she's the one that really nurtures and everything. So she has the higher light. She has the power of creation, something from nothing within her. She, like a whole baby's formed, right? Mm-hmm. But the what is the masculine? He gives the part that like defines the light of the feminine. He, like, with his contribution, the egg becomes like a head and an arm, you know. So he contributes something very important, but it's not that like big, because the woman is the one that, you know, is pregnant, and it's a man, she gives birth, right? But at the end of the day, when they have the baby, nobody says, "Oh, that's the mother's baby. She gave more. She did more," right? So there's no distinction. It's both our babies. And when everybody's living truly to themselves, they're energized. So there's nobody like feels like cheated, like, oh, she's doing more than me, he's doing more. Everybody's showing up the way they're supposed to, and it just makes everything go smooth. And then of course there's Ashiras. It's very interesting, the letter that I shared today. The Rebbe says, and when we, you know, keep on going higher and higher, getting out of our Meitzarim, and not listening to the guy, which is like the chitzonius influence that tells us to listen to external, you know, whatever, right? So then we're gonna have the Ashiras, and a lot of people are already seeing this. So they're gonna, the man, he's bringing in the money. The woman's the one that's having pleasure. It makes him more successful. He feels like he's successful. He feels like, wow, look at me. I'm doing amazing. I am bringing in so much money. He's still enjoying the benefits, and he feels good about himself. And then because of her energy, he attracts better clients, works smarter and not harder. So he's benefiting from this. So we don't have to worry about the man. It's the most joyous way when everybody could be true to themselves and everybody contributes something for the other one. So he's the support system, right? So he's like the vessel that contains your toyu lights, your wild lights. And if he helps you feel calm and you know, and he doesn't have to understand everything, he just shows up in the way he needs to, you know, that's how he contains your light. So that's how he shows up for you. And you are giving him the kayach to feel so much better about himself, to shine himself, to feel, you know, feel so like empowered and so powerful that, you know, he's so successful, and also he's getting out of his own, you know, limitations, and he himself is living in a truer way, you know. And it's just that it's not his main expression, it's not his main obligation to bring in the light. So the 6 days of the week and Shabbos, right? I don't know, like a Yom Shekulah Shabbos. The way I imagine it, I don't think we're going to have 7 days of Shabbos, because at the end of Shabbos, you want to already go back to the 6 days. You know what I mean? It's like, yes. Okay, now I need to check my phone. You know, like, okay, I couldn't wait till Shabbos. I wanted to relax. Okay, but 24 hours, I think that's good. I got recharged, and right? So we need both. We want to, you know, we need to recharge. We want to be productive. We want to recharge. We don't want only, you know. So my understanding of Yom Shekulah Shabbos is that we're going to live even during the week in a way of pleasure. Because what's the difference between Shabbos and 6 days a week is the Kedusha, is the pleasure, right? So we're going to live a life of fully pleasure, no chasing, but doesn't mean that we're just going to sit there 24/7, you know. We need both, you know. So
right. Thank you, Bracha, for expanding on that. Amazing. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not on the video. I was just tired, so I'm just laying down. But I'm hearing. I'm tuning into what I want. I just want to add just one more thing quickly. So for the longest time, women felt that in order to feel their power, they were being like men. So they went out to work and they were, I'm saying even, the shluchais and doing all these big events and blah, 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 and all that. So my question is, okay, I mean, I think I know the answer, but I would love to hear it from you, like maybe a little more. Like, okay, so if a woman, let's say she loves to work and she loves what she does and she gets paid for it and whatever, all that. So she is bringing in she's also bringing in like that, her chava and everything like that.
Right, but she is not responsible for it.
Right.
So she has to let go feeling responsible. At the end of the day, if she's pregnant and nauseous and she is not up to working, she could step off the wagon. Okay.
Right.
She's not responsible for it. That's number one. And number two is that she has to know that her life is the akaris habayis, that pleasure energy. If she does, if she wants to go to work because it gives her kayach and it makes her feel expressed, she has to make sure she has so much help. She has to, make sure that when you come home, you're Shabbos, and that the house has the energy of Shabbos. If you could figure it out or work less hours or whatever it is, figure it out. But that's responsibility. So as long as you don't forget about that, you have to know what's your priority. Your priority is akaris habayis, and you could go in and out. Right now I'm not up to it. I'm taking off, and now I want to teach, and I am very excited about it. Whatever, let's say you want to give classes and you want to, good, but don't take on too much, right? What happens when we take on too much? Is the relationship pleasure? No. So we have to be very in tune with what's true. If we're stressed out, there's something wrong with the picture. If, that's not our truth. There's something wrong. So do we need more help? Do we have to buy takeout food? We have to have a nanny with the kid, whatever. But the bottom line is, and are we doing too much? And sometimes we need all of that help and we can't, whatever. We're just not feeling whatever it is. So we have to know the priority of what's our contribution is that 11 light. We uplift the whole home with this relaxed pleasure energy, and it gets everybody in a good mood. The kids don't fight, and everybody's, not at each other's nerves, all that.
Right.
But that's our responsibility.
Right. Right, exactly. So bracha. So the lights of Toihu, that are the unbounding light, which is the higher 11, and it still needs boundaries, because like you said before that. Right, like you said, we already trained so much with all the boundaries that we already know we have the kalim for it. That's what I understand.
No. We now have the kalim so that we could put the boundaries on it. Without the boundaries, we can't even use it.
Right.
We now know how to boundary it. You see what I'm saying? It's not that, okay, we have the kalim, so now we could use the light without it. No. Now it's like a child, right? He can't drive a car until he knows how to drive responsibly. So, okay, so now that he has the keys, could he just go without, checking the traffic signal, and could he speed? No. Now we're mature enough to follow the rules. Before, we were so immature that if you gave us a car, we'd crash into everything. Okay? So I think does that make sense?
Right. Yes. So, okay, so we do have the boundaries, but if somebody, let's say, goes into this thing without boundaries, then they're going to have shvias kalim again. Like,
exactly.
Like you gave that example of eating whatever, I don't know,
of course.
10 ice creams, you get nauseous. If you have one, it's pleasurable, like that.
Right. And not only that, but what I'm understanding more is, in the beginning, when I understood about malchus, is just do a few things that make you feel good. Now I'm understanding this is like a 24/7 job. You have to always be in tune. What's my energy now? I'm feeling stressed out. I don't care if you took a walk before. Now you're feeling stressed out. Figure out how to get out of it. Figure out, it's like a 24/7 job to be that light. That's what you have to be, or else you're going to see everybody screaming and fetching and whatever. It doesn't, and everybody's giving difficult. Everybody's difficult. So it's like, you know what I mean? So, and then we have to use it, not just responsibly, but not, okay, one ice cream is good. Maybe I need 2 ice creams. Maybe I need a half. I have to know what is making me feel good so that when I show up, I'm flowing, and there's bracha, and it brings bracha. It brings flow. It brings everybody's blessed in your family. Everybody is successful. The husband's bringing you easier money. Everything is you're the one that's creating this blessing. That's why it says, like, we're the ones through this light that bring in this infinite blessing in a way but we have to really be living it. It's not just enough to say, or even I saw like today, I didn't really read everything, but like to decide that this is going to be pleasurable. No, we can't decide. That's chitzonius. Okay, I'm going to have a good time at the party. Am I having a good time or am I not? Is it something that's enjoyable for me because I could, enjoy it, but that's not filling me up and recharging me. It's just nice. Okay, I'm tolerating it. So we have to also self-care, like separate. We have to like take care of the queen. When the queen is happy, there's peace in the kingdom. That was one of the first gifts I got when it's fascinating. When I just got into Malchus, I didn't even tell anyone about it. And this woman comes to my house and she dropped off this little beautiful wooden plaque. And it says, when the queen is happy, there's peace in the kingdom. She said, I was in the store and I thought about you, so I bought it for you. I'm like, that's interesting. She didn't even know, but this is what the Rebbe was saying, that that we have to do like we're a full-time job. That's our job. Like, what do I need now? What do I need now? What do we now to maintain that light, to maintain, it's a full-time job, and of course we're doing things. We're not, but it's from a state of being, which is like being in tune. When we're in tune, we know, okay, now I have to rest. Now I need some pleasure. Now I need to just relax. Now I need this. Now I need to do something. Now I want to organize my closet. It's not like you're not doing anything, but
So Bracha, so really, I just want to put in this comment here. I'm sure other people are feeling the same way. I feel like every time we learn it, and every time, like I know the Malchus support group is amazing also, but I feel like when the learning, like every time, every week, it's like, it's literally opening the eyes. Like all of a sudden, like this morning, my husband, came to eat breakfast, and he's like, oh, come sit with me. And I was about to go and take my walk. Now, I didn't take my walk since, Shabbos and Sunday. I just did some in the house, whatever. And I really needed that walk. And I was like, okay, my body is like screaming, like, okay, let's get out and get. And he's like, no, come sit with me. Anyway, I ended up sitting with him and the conversation did not go well. I was like so agitated because I needed my walk. And it's like again and again and again and again. It just keeps coming up like what someone else was sharing also in the Machos group, like, the Shekhinah is like just begging and screaming, like, take care of me. I'm here. Listen to the more. And I feel like the more we learn it, like the more it becomes so obvious, like for sure, like this is what is, like we get feedback. We get, what I'm trying to say is you get immediate feedback from your sensations, from your body, like immediately,
100%.
like when you're in that energy and when you're not.
Right. And so that was a letter that I just shared. If you really read that letter, the Rebbe was saying, we have to we can't get off the wagon, learn and learn and learn until you reveal that this is my God, Zach Haley, like till you're totally there, that you're not going to violate that call from your body and from your soul. And we also know how to say politely, oh, I would love to be with you. I just need this walk so badly, but I'll spend some time with you later. Right?
Can I just share
something? Sure.
A quick thing, because Simcha Chai.
One second. Whoever wants to go off, it's an hour. So just letting you know.
Thank you. Just like saying also what Simcha Chai is saying, like this, learning this is like a whole nother level. And I'm sorry, also, I'm so tired. I'm hanging upside down in my hammock, so I'm not going to put in my video. But I just want to share, I shared with you already, but for everyone, about like listening to our bodies, that yesterday, like I said, I had a great Shabbos and Sunday, but I didn't do anything special for me. And I was feeling very disconnected. So, and my husband and I made a plan to connect last night, spend time, whatever. And I was like, shoot, I'm feeling so disconnected. So I was like, I'll take a bath and then hopefully I'll feel better. But I came after the bath and my body was like, just go to sleep. And I knew it would disappoint him. And I said, I'm so sorry. Like, I was so disconnected today. Like, I really just needed to go to bed. And he was like, I could tell he was like very disappointed. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not what I wanted either, but I have to listen to my body. And I even had that confidence because I saw how I even got so disconnected. from just one day of not listening. So I went into bed, and it was amazing. In the morning, he told me, I was very sad and I was feeling my feelings, and I journaled. And what I realized is like, I'm so done. Like I need to stay, like, finally just let go and transition into a new energy. Like I'm so like, still like, I trust Hashem, but I'm still like trying to control. And like, every time like something goes wrong, it's like, okay, now we need to get a new car. And I'm like, oh, like I finally thought I had it all figured out. And he's like, I have to just jump. And I just can't do this energy anymore. I have to trust. And then he said, and I realized I really need a vacation. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, here I was feeling bad. When meanwhile,
you helped
my
him.
body, I helped him because what I was saying is, not only did I do it for me, our body communicates for us, but really Hashem is communicating to us. So really, since Hashem was communicating to me, I have to trust that if I can't spend time with my husband, that means Hashem's telling me, don't worry, that's not even what he needs right now.
Exactly.
And he had to sit with himself and also realizing what he really wants, because I'm choosing what I really want, is giving him permission. So what you're saying about like husbands, I know for my husband, he's more of a malchus man because he's more feminine naturally. However, in addition to that, he wants to take care of me. I see every time I do it, within a month or two, he starts getting into that energy too. I don't want to make myself crazy. I need to hire more people. I want to delegate more. So anyways, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. You're inspiring us. So that's the idea, right? So the idea is the women start, and that it inspires the men to really own their light, and then they feel good. So it's like, when a man is not really being true to himself, he feels down. He doesn't feel good about himself. That's why they have their, whatever it is, addictions, different things, they have, whatever they,
going and buying
depression
clothes.
or whatever, anxiety, whatever. But when they're in their light, because we're in our light, now they could be men, they also feel that high. So they, everybody feels good. It's a win-win. It's not like only women are going to feel amazing. No, we just have this, we're just owning the light that kept the world from being Geuladik. That's it. We're now taking that power back and bringing it in a very beautiful way. So, and as for myself as well, it was just 1 second, it was just a small thing, but Thursday night, I thought, you know what, I want to cook so that Friday will be more relaxed, and I was going to cook ahead. And then I just didn't feel up to it. So I honored my body and I relaxed. And I said, okay, it'll be what it'll be. Friday, this Friday, I cooked so fast. I was like, oh my God, the clock stopped or something? It's like I had so many hours, I thought I was going to be bored. But usually it takes me all day to do the same thing. This is Hashem communicating. When you honor your body, I'm like, I kept on looking, what? It's only 5 minutes, what? And it really was. It was just amazing. I felt like something's wrong. But that's what it is. When you honor your body and just, truly give it what it needs. And your soul.
Bracha, I had the same thing on Thursday. My cleaning help didn't come. And I'm like, I'm not in the mood of making anything. And I didn't make anything on Friday. I did it in 1 hour and 15 minutes. And then at night, my husband was like, wow, look, you made this beautiful Shabbos. There was and it was like, I can't believe it. In 1 hour, 15 minutes, I went to the shopping center in the afternoon. I went to buy myself something. I relaxed. I was like, what is going on?
I relaxed on Friday and cooked.
Yes.
And I took it easy on Thursday night. On Thursday, the whole afternoon, I was, this is amazing. This is Geula. This is the truth. It's just, right? So we have that bracha and zman. It's just amazing. Yeah. So with that, we will, call it a class, and to be continued. Yeah. Take care. We'll see you on the
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much, Bracha.
Yeah, we're
amazing.
This is Hashem every week.
Biggest gift for us.
Thank you. Amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, where's the record? Stop.